Hello, my name is Ruth, and I'm an alcoholic and the leader for tonight. Would you please join me in the serenity prayer? God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Are there any other alcoholics present? Welcome. This is a non-smoking meeting, including e-cigarettes and vapes. Smoking is not allowed in Manhattan Beach. We remind everyone that we are guests at this location and are lucky to be here. Please respect the no smoking rule. If you have not already done so, please turn off your cell phone and electronic devices. Restrooms are located behind those double doors to your right. If you have a court card that requires a signature, please place it in the basket. You can pick it up after the meeting in the basket. AA Preamble. Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of men and women who share their experience, strength, and hope with each other that they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. There are no dues or fees for AA membership. We are self-supporting through our own contributions. AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organization, or institution, does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses nor opposes any causes. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. Are there any alcoholics here with less than 30 days of sobriety? We ask so we may get to know you better in the break. If so, please stand, tell us your name, the nature of your disease, and where you are from. Welcome. Will the Al-Anon with us tonight please raise their hands? Do we have any visitors who have not previously identified from outside the greater Los Angeles area? If so, please stand and introduce yourself. At this meeting, we read a portion of Chapter 5 from the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous. Tonight, I have asked Jason to read this for us. Yes.
Jason, alcoholic. Thank you. Rarely have we seen a person fail who has thoroughly followed our path. Those who do not recover are people who cannot or will not completely give themselves to this simple program. Usually men and women who are constitutionally incapable of being honest with themselves. They are such unfortunates. They are not at fault. They seem to have been born that way. They are naturally incapable of grasping and developing a manner of living which demands rigorous honesty. Their chances are less than average. There are those too who suffer from grave emotional and mental disorders, but many of them do recover if they have the capacity to be honest. Our stories disclose in a general way what we used to be like, what happened, and what we are like now. If you have decided you want what we have and are willing to go to any length to get it, then you're ready to take certain steps. As some of these we balked. We thought we could find an easier, softer way, but we could not. With all the earnestness at our command, we beg of you to be fearless and thorough from the very start. Some of us have tried to hold on to our old ideas, and the result was nil until we let go absolutely. Remember that we deal with alcohol, cunning, baffling, powerful. Without help, it is too much for us. But there is one who has all power, that one is God. May you find him now. Half measured availed us nothing. We stood at the turning point. We asked his protection and care with complete abandon. Here are the steps we took, which are suggested as a program of recovery. 1, we admitted we were powerless over alcohol and that our lives had become unmanageable. 2, came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. 3, made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood him. 4, made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. 5, admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. 6, We're entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. 7, humbly asked him to remove our shortcomings. 8, made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. 9, made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. 10, continued to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. 11, sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood him, praying only for knowledge of his will for us and the power to carry that out. 12, having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we tried to carry this message to alcoholics and to practice these principles in all our affairs. Many of us exclaimed, "What an order! I can't go through with it." Do not be discouraged. No one among us has been able to maintain anything like perfect adherence to these principles. We are not saints. The point is that we are willing to grow along spiritual lines. The principles we have set down are guides to progress. We claim spiritual progress rather than spiritual perfection. Our description of the alcoholic, the chapter to the agnostic, and our personal adventures before and after make clear 3 pertinent ideas. That we were alcoholic and could not manage our own lives, that probably no human power could have relieved our alcoholism, and that God could and would if he were sought.
Our 7th tradition states that we are self-supporting through our own contributions. This allows us to pay our meeting rent, other expenses and contributions to central office in New York. We encourage regular members of this group to donate generously. The steps are to the individual what the traditions are to the group. Tonight we'd have asked Liam to read the 12 traditions for us.
Liam, alcoholic. 12 traditions of Alcoholics Anonymous. 1. Our common welfare should come first. Personal recovery depends on AA unity. 2. For our group purpose, there is but one ultimate authority, loving God as he may express himself in our group conscience. Our leaders are but trusted servants. They do not govern. 3. The only requirement for AA membership is a desire to stop drinking. 4. Each group should be autonomous except in matters affecting other groups or AA as a whole. 5. Each group has but one primary purpose, to carry its message to the alcoholic who still suffers. 6. An AA group ought never endorse, finance, or lend the AA name to any related facility or outside enterprise, lest problems of money, property, and prestige divert us from our primary purpose. 7. Every AA group ought to be fully self-supporting, declining outside contributions. 8. Alcoholics Anonymous should remain forever non-professional, but our service centers may employ special workers. 9. AA, as such, ought never be organized, but we may create service boards or committees directly responsible to those they serve. 10. Alcoholics Anonymous has no opinion on outside issues. Hence, the AA name ought never be drawn into public controversy. 11. Our public relations policy is based on attraction rather than promotion. We need always maintain personal anonymity at the level of press, radio, and films. 12. Anonymity is the spiritual foundation of all our traditions, ever reminding us to place principles before personalities.
We will now have our 10-minute speaker. Please welcome Chiquita.
Hi, my name is Chiquita. I'm an alcoholic. My sobriety date is November 24th, 2022. My home group is the Bellflower Big Book, and I do have a sponsor in that group. So I'll just quickly tell you what was it like and how's my life today. I grew up in Long Beach, California, raised by a single mom. I do have a twin sister, but she's not as crazy as I am. So around when I was 16 years old, I remember my mom had bought a case of Smirnoff. And so back then, I'm thinking it's just an adult drink, but a good adult drink. And so one day my mom had to go out and run a couple of errands, so it was just me and my twin sister at the house. And so we were going back and forth trying to figure out how are we going to come up with the lie and tell our mom that one of the bottles broke, because we wanted to try the alcohol, of course. So we did that. So we opened the bottle while my mom was gone, and we both took sips, and that was my first drink. Definitely felt that warmness and that tingling feeling, and I was just like, yeah, I'm here. And so once my mom had came home, of course she had asked about the bottle, but of course we lied. But once I made amends, I was honest with her, and I told her we drank it. So yeah. So I graduated high school. I didn't really drink like that during high school. I made sure that I had got all good grades and graduated. And so after I had graduated high school, I pretty much was starting the whole partying life, but not as fully. So another story. So I remember when I was with my girlfriends and they decided to have like this big old party bus. And so there were like Jello shots, there were tequila, there were beer, there were just all types of alcohol. And yeah, I was enjoying it. And so when we was on that party bus, we drove all the way to Hollywood, and then we came back, and that party bus was lit. But I remember I was eyeing this guy, and I knew I wanted to get his numbers towards the end of the night. And so once the party bus came back on this end, we all decided to go to Denny's. And so we're all sitting in this big round booth. And so it's me, my twin sister, her little boyfriend, me, and then the guy that I was really trying to talk to. And so I remember I was sitting at that table, and I started to talk. And all of a sudden, I just puke all over the table. It was blue. It was just nasty. And you think I got those digits? And so that's just how my drinking started to take off. Fast forward, I started noticing a little bit of change of my drinking, especially when I would go out with like my girlfriends, and we would pretty much be at the bar or at a restaurant, and I would be the first person to finish my drink, and I would look at them and be like, why is you babysitting your drink? Like, come on, chug, chug, chug. And so I started to notice the change, but of course I was in denial. And so after a while, my drinking just started to progress. I know back in 2020, we're all shut down, of course, and alcohol was my best friend. And so I was always buying a gallon of wine, 6 packs of beers. Those were my go-to. And then later on, my go-to was E&J. So like I said, fast forward, I was working at a job. I was working with mental health. And so the job was a little stressful, but alcohol was my best friend at that time, so it would pretty much help me soothe myself. And so I remember waking up early in the morning, 6 o'clock, going straight to the liquor store, waiting for them to open because I needed that drink. And so I would pretty much buy shots bottles of the airplanes, and I had scrubs on, so I would hide those bottles in my scrubs. And so I would take different breaks, and I would just be taking, shots while I was at work. And of course, I ended up getting fired from that job. And so finally, I say I had like a spiritual awakening when I was in the hospital, because I would be in and out of the hospitals due to my withdrawals. And I just finally woke up and told myself, like, I was just tired, sick and tired of being sick and tired, and I was tired of running. And so I remember when I first got out the hospital, that was the week of Thanksgiving. And as soon as I had got home, I looked on my phone and I started going through the meeting app and trying to find a meeting that I can go to so I can survive during that day and not wanting to drink. And so finally I found Bellflower Big Book on the meeting app, and I remember I went to that meeting on Monday night, and the first meeting was our newcomers meeting, and I thought that was going to be it, and I was going to just be done with that meeting and go, but apparently we had another meeting at 7:30, and that's when I met my sponsor. And so once I met her, she just started to introduce me, and she was just so nice and so friendly to me, and I just felt safe. And so I ended up asking her, I told her, I like your vibe, like, can you sponsor me? And so she started sponsoring me. She started taking me through the steps and reading out of the big book. Then I started doing my amends. And, you know, today life is good for me. You know, I try to stay in the middle as much as I can. I do go to a lot of meetings. And I do have a group with my sponsor, and I start the gratitude meeting as well, the gratitude list. And, you know, like I said, life is good. I have a great relationship with my family. My relationship was on the rocks, especially when I was out there drinking. I actually just recently, last year, went on a family trip sober, and that was actually amazing to be around my family and be sober for once. I just finished school for a certified nurse assistant, and I'm pursuing my dream to become a nurse. And you know what? I just thank God and AA, because if it wasn't for God and AA, I don't know where my life would be at to this day. And, you know, like I said, I try to stay here as much as I can, work the program, be of service. And, you know, I'm just grateful how my life is today. And I think that's all I really have. So thank you.
We will now have a 10-minute break.
No, we won't.
Oh. Oh. Where was that at? Okay.
Okay. I'm Jan, your alcoholic. Let's thank her for doing a great job of stepping in. We've had a little bit of adjustment on our format today. So first of all, we don't celebrate AA birthdays, but we acknowledge them. Anybody with an AA birthday? I'd like to stand and tell us your name and number of years sober.
Yes, ma'am. My name's David. I'm an alcoholic 5 years.
Yeah.
Carol, alcoholic, I'm 10 years.
Yay.
I'm an alcoholic, I had 4 years.
Yeah, all right. We have a birthday basket, and it's suggested you get $1 a year. That money then is donated to General Service and GSR. So congratulations on the birthdays. Also, we have AA literature. It's over there on the table by the food. If there's nothing, help yourself to the pamphlets. If there's something you want and it's not there, let one of us know and we'll take care of it. Okay, tonight is the end of our term. Next week we'll have new officers, and so tonight we are having elections. How this works is that we have those that are being elected are secretaries, speaker getter, and treasurer. The other positions are volunteer. We have grapevine, timer, kitchen help and cleanup, even though Carly's family has agreed to stay and continue. Thank them. We need a literature rep. Chris already has a backup, Carly, but if anyone else is learning to do that, please see Chris. This is for our recording. Robert is our setup chair, and we definitely need people to come, at least 5 or 6 people early to set up. We have to set up these chairs, And we need people here at 6 o'clock to help set up. And then at the end, Chris is our cleanup chair, and we need people to help break down, clean the kitchen. We also need shoppers, someone to go get supplies. I don't know, Dave's continuing to do that. Also, we need someone at 3:45 to pick up the bagels. We want to thank Manhattan Beach Bread and Bagels for donating them, but we do need to pick them up at 3:45. We need greeters, we need CSR, and Phil has agreed to stay on as GSR unless somebody else has asked for that position. So now we go into the elections. Marianne, would you stand up, please, and introduce yourself and the number of years of sobriety? How many years of sobriety? 15 years of sobriety. She's agreed to step in as secretary. And we have a couple of women that are not going to co-chair, but will be available if she needs a backup. So the question is now, is there any other nominations for secretary?
Move the nominations be closed.
Okay. All in favor of Marianne as secretary? Raise your hand. Any opposed? Congratulations. All right. Treasurer Scott is willing to be treasurer for another year. This is a change of format. Is there anyone else who is willing to run for treasurer? No? Okay. Could I have a nomination to approve him as treasurer for a second year? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Yay, clean whistle. Thank you, Scott. Yeah. Now, this is the one that's difficult. We need a speaker getter. Alan has, thank you for Alan's service for the year. He has arranged speakers for 2 in February, but we do need someone to get speakers. So, anyone off the top want to volunteer? Okay, if not, see me during the break if you know anyone or are willing to do it. It's a big job. You need to contact people to be the 10-minute speaker and main speaker for every Saturday. And we've always had very good speakers. Thank you, Katie, for being here tonight. And thank you for your wonderful 10-minute speak. So that is still open. Okay, now for volunteers. Already, Morgana has volunteered to be great ground rep. And Colette has volunteered to be timer. She'll need a second person to help her. Is somebody willing to be a second person to help her? I can wait it out. Lisa? No? Okay. Okay, we'll bring it up after the break again. Okay. Carly? So a literature rep, we need someone in literature. We haven't had a literature rep for most of the year. The literature rep helps set up, announces, is over there to help people that want literature, and gets literature for anybody who needs it. Is anyone interested in being the literature rep? Ooh, we got a quiet crowd tonight. Okay. Meeting room setup. Definitely, we need volunteers for that. We need 5 or 6 people to come. Come and see me during the break. I'm not going to go through this again, but we definitely need people to help. Meryl and I are getting too old to do it, and it's very hard. 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock.
We'll take 6:30. Yeah.
6 o'clock.
We'll take 6:30.
Okay.
If you can't make it at 6.
6 o'clock. Okay. Shoppers, we need someone to go like to Costco. Are you going to continue to do the shopping? I will do so. Great, perfect, okay. And the other one would be bagel pickup. I can't hear you.
What's his name?
David. Okay, and greeters, we need people here by 6:15, 6:30, 6:37 to greet people as they come. Do we have some greeters? My goodness, this is a sad situation. This is something that helps you. Your sobriety is making a commitment, and this meeting needs some help with this. Okay, and then cleanup. We have a group that does stay and help clean up. Can we see those people that usually stay and help clean up? Okay, I guess they're not here tonight. This is painful. Okay, Phil has agreed to stay on as GSR. We do need a CSR rep. We haven't had one for the year. That's a central office rep. Andy?
I'll do it again.
CSR rep? Great, thank you. Okay, that's pretty much what I have. And now we will have a 10-minute break. Thank you for letting me be of service.
Thank you for taking your seats quickly and quietly. May you please join me in the serenity prayer. Grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And now, please join me in welcoming our main speaker, Katiee.
Okay. Hello, my name's Katiee, and I'm an alcoholic. My sobriety date is August 23rd, 2011. Thank you. And if there's anyone here who, so that wasn't my first sobriety date, and I struggled to get a sobriety date that I could keep. So if you're here and, you just can't seem to, get it to stick, I relate. I remember sitting in meetings, sometimes I would show up at meetings drunk, sometimes I would just show up shaking, and I would sit in the back and just think why does it work for them? This is never gonna work for me. I thought you guys all loved this thing too. I thought that was something else. They love this, and I wasn't getting any relief. I'd get a little bit of relief while I would sit in a meeting because I wouldn't have to cover up who I was for an hour, but I wasn't really getting any relief. I was just showing up and I didn't want anything, I didn't want to do any of the things that you guys were doing to stay sober. But anyway, August 23rd, 2011, that's my sobriety date. Let's see. I'm from Vermont, as I shared earlier. I grew up in I met a friend that grew up nearby, and I grew up in a family full of drunks. I'm the oldest of three, but I was the smart one because, I'm the oldest, so I did really well in school. I did ran track, cross country, I did the student council, I did all the stuff I was supposed to do. I got all the good grades, and and I grew up in this family full of loud, belligerent, not educated. They're just loud, and and I felt like I was the stuck-up one in the family, and I didn't really fit in, and I'm sure that's how they saw me also. And I just thought I'm smarter than them. I'm never gonna be like them. The other thing about me is I never felt comfortable. I've always felt extremely uncomfortable in my skin, nervous, cold, clammy, sweaty. That's me. And I would sit and watch everybody else in the room and feel how do they know how to act? They know how to act. They know what to say. They look so comfortable, and I'm so uncomfortable to the point where I'd rather just be alone. It's a lot easier, I like to be alone. And so that's a little bit about where I come from. I didn't have my first drink until I was 17. Although I had sips of alcohol, I don't even know the first time I drank alcohol. My dad would let me drink alcohol. He would give me finish my beer, kid. And, and then I remember this came to me. I remember, I don't know how old I was, but I remember him saying, and my dad, he drank every day. And I remember him saying, always volunteer to do the dishes, you know, because if you volunteer to do the dishes, you can hide a little glass of wine back over here and nobody knows, you know, they leave you alone. And so, you know, but then I didn't start drinking because I mentioned I was a good kid. And my way of doing it was just like, keep a low profile, stay under the radar, do what you're supposed to do, and they'll leave you alone, you know? And, but when I was 17, I was at some sleepover and like we got a hold of some alcohol and it was like a bunch of girls in a basement drinking. And honestly, like it didn't really do a whole lot for me because I just remember they all got giggly and laughy and like we're having so much fun. And I'm like, I don't know, did I not get enough? Like, I don't know why they're like, but I don't think I did. Must be I didn't get enough. But anyway, I started drinking more. I got a job. I started as a hostess, then they let me waitress, and like that was when I started drinking. So I was 15 when I started there. By the time I was 17, they were really letting me drink. They were giving me a shift drink at the end of all my drinks, 17 years old at the end of my shift. And they were all in their 20s, and so they would like get me alcohol. I remember I wasn't cool in high school. I was not cool at all. They said I was weird and funny. And but I wasn't cool, you know. And I remember I got asked to go like a couple of the dances I got asked to, but it was always with somebody that like I was embarrassed to go with because they weren't cool. But I just whatever, you know. My mom picked out the dress. Here I am, you know. And I remember now that I'm hanging out at the restaurant with these older people and they're cool and they think I'm cool. Unlike the people at high school, the 20-year-olds at the restaurant thought I was cool. And they let me drink. And I remember we were at a concert and my boyfriend was 25, you know, so he was older. And so we were in the parking lot. We got to drink in the parking lot pregame. And then I went into the concert and it was like a bunch of people from my high school, you know. And I remember that was that moment for me where I was like, I have arrived. Like, because look at those losers. Like, I'm drunk and they're all like waiting for their mom to come pick them up, you know. And I'm with a 25-year-old and we're drunk and we're dancing and like, look at all these losers. And I don't know, alcohol, what it did for me is it just... You know, I feel it warm up my body. It puts this nice, like, fuzzy, warm feeling around me. It makes me feel comfortable in my skin. It makes me, I feel smart. I feel pretty. I feel, you know, I know how to act now. I know how to be around you. I love being around you now. And, you know, and that's how my drinking career started. It didn't, I don't know, when did it get bad? It was good for a long time, and I loved drinking. I lived for it. Like, if you told me that I was going to have to give up drinking, like, you know, that's what I live for. And I felt like as long as I have alcohol, I don't care if I ever have a husband or, like, kids, or I don't care. I just want to have me and my alcohol. As long as I can have that, I'm good. And, you know, now I end up moving to Florida. I met a guy down there. And the partying got, like, it took off to a whole new level. And, you know, and then that's how I ended up moving out here to California, is he got a job out here, and I came out here with him. I already knew that I didn't like him, but I was like, I had this feeling, I was like, I knew I'd end up in California someday, and, like, this is just how I'm going to get there, you know? And I figured once I get out there, I'll meet somebody else, you know? And so we got married in Vegas on the drive out here. And that's actually, I used to live kind of in the area up in Playa del Rey. When I first came out here, it was like, must have been 20 years ago. And, you know, the drinking was on and it was good. And what happened is I was like, I have a right, you know, it was good. But the problem is, like, I'm having a very hard time showing up to work. And then, like, he started making a little bit of money, you know, to the point where I was like, do I really need to keep this job? And he was like, just keep it for as long as you can, you know, just try to keep it for as long as you can. And I was like, this guy is perfect, you know, But then I quickly left him. I won't even get into that. But, well, what happened was the reason I left him is because he sent me to detox, and that was when I was like, okay, like this is, played its course. And because he got a DUI, and then they sent him to some classes, and in the classes they were talking about alcoholism, and he was like, my wife, like that's my. So then these people helped him try to help me, and they sent me to detox, and but anyway, so what happened was I had the job still, and now I'd left him, and I knew I had to keep the job, because now I don't have a husband anymore, and the job had, I was inside sales, they promoted me to outside sales, and because of that, I had to go do a 2-week training in Ohio, and I'd been with the company, I'd been on the training one other time, and you stay in a hotel, there's a conference room you sit in all day, and there's a little bar across the street. And, you party all night, and then you sit in the hotel, and now, my drinking's gotten worse by now, and there was this doctor I used to always hang out with, and he up in Playa del Rey, and I'd always end up over there. He always had whatever I wanted when I got there. He had all the good stuff, and I was there with him partying one night, and I told him, I was like, yeah, next week I got to go on this training to Ohio, and blah blah blah. I need this job, and I remember he said, whatever you do, when you go back there, do not let these people see the way you drink. Because if they see the way you drink, you're not going to have this job for much longer. And I remember when he said that, I was like, I had already thought that through. That was my plan. I wasn't drinking when I go back there, I'm like, oh, don't even worry. I'm not drinking. I know, I agree. And now it's fast forward a week. It's the night before the trip, and I'm supposed to just have my stuff in the suitcase and show up at John Wayne Airport in the morning. And that seems pretty simple to me, pretty easy, should be manageable. And, and I had a new boyfriend by then, and he was up north, cultivating weed up there. And, and so I was in his house, alone. And I thought, how could a drink hurt me right now, And, I've seen other people, they can have maybe they have 5 or 6 drinks. Maybe they have 8 drinks. I've watched. And then they can get up the next day and go do what they're supposed to do. And why can I not do that, And I just want to drink to it's just makes everything a little nicer, and pack my things and have a little drink. And, and so I must have had the drink. I don't remember that part, but I remember the part where, when you're kind of coming out of it and you're trying to get your bearings. Where am I? What happened? How did I get here? Why are you talking so much? And it seems like it might be sunny out, the sun's coming up, and what time is it, And he told me, I think it was, 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, something like that. And he told me that, and I was like, oh no, I screwed up, I was supposed to be at the airport. I don't even know how I could go from here to there. And what would I say? How would I explain it? I don't, and you get tired of my grandma died, my tire blew out. You just get tired of that. And also, we weren't done. There was a lot more partying to go on. I just kept going. And the thing for me when I'm like that is by the end of my drinking, I'm a 4-day binge drinker. I don't shower. This was before that still, but I don't shower, I don't eat. I was still getting out at that time, but I just drink around the clock. And my cell phone, it doesn't get charged. And then apparently, it was like a corporate job. If you don't show up for something like that, they start looking for you and they think something bad might have happened to you. And then they call your, people on your emergency contact list. And my mom back east got a call, and, and I know I tortured that woman. I know, my brother and sister tell me that, they're you don't even know what you put mom through. She was insane, and she had to go on medication because of you. And because here I am out here in California, and she doesn't know who I'm with, where I'm living, what's going on, and she's getting a lot of random phone calls, and they're usually from random people. I have your daughter here, anyway, oh, and then they called my ex-husband. He knew the places where I hung out when I was up to my things, and so he found me and told me. He's been on the phone with the boss, and she said, you get to keep your job if you come clean with them and tell them you have a problem, So that was my first trip to rehab. And I did 30 days in Pasadena at a treatment facility there. And at the end of my 30 days, they give you a chip, and then you make a little speech about, this is great, thank you, love you guys. And then 4 hours out, within 4 hours, I got a drink in my hand. And because I had to find a place to live, because he had kicked me out, and the police came looking at that house, and he was doing some illegal activity, and, he doesn't like police at all, and he said I was bringing him around way too much, which I was. I was constantly tangling with the cops, and anyway, I remember once we were at the Orange County Fairgrounds, and there I was with the cops. I don't know. It's because I was drunk, and they put me in a little place where they hold you. And anyway, so that was the beginning of what I mentioned at the beginning, where I was kind of in and out, in and out, in and out. I could get 2 weeks sober. I could get 3 months sober. Sometimes I could get 8 months sober, and I would show up at meetings, and I'd get a tiny bit of relief, and then I would always drink again, and they would say, you should try calling us before you drink. And, and I don't know. I was miserable. The thought of having to be sober did not appeal to me in any way. In Alcoholics Anonymous, you don't get to drink at all. And I was hoping that maybe there was just I had a lot of bad luck. I had some people were mistreating me, and surely that was the problem, and I could manage my drinking still. And so I spent the next 4.5, 5 years of miserable, because this is me when I'm sober and I don't have Alcoholics Anonymous. I got 3 jobs. I'll work all the time, and if I'm not working, I'm in the gym. Don't mess with me. And but then I get a day off. And I'm I've been working so hard. I got money in the bank. I need to unwind. And I have no idea how to do that. So 1 bottle of wine is not going to hurt. You guys know how that goes. And 1 bottle of wine is 4 glasses of wine. That's, So, I ended up having 2 babies back to back, and I met a girl at one of my waitressing jobs, because that's the only kind of job I could do anymore, because I'm a no-call, no-show, and she had 4 kids, and she was really pretty, and I really admired the way she drank. Her kids were gone. She didn't have them anymore, but I was pregnant, and she told me, she said, she said, don't worry. Now that you're having a baby, you're going to be fine. Because you have motherly instincts now, you have love for another human, and that's going to help you stay sober. And when she told me that, I remember it was a Tuesday afternoon, we'd just gotten off our shift, and she was in a bar drinking, and I'm holding my belly, watching her drink, oh my God, I would, because I love the way she drank, because she had a boyfriend, and she would wake up in the morning and sneak a couple tall cans, and then go to the gym somehow, still make it to the gym, then come wait tables all day, and then just be obliterated until she passed out. And I'm if I could figure out how to work and drink at the same time like that, I would be okay. I don't want a lot out of life. I don't need a lot. I just need to be able to drink and have money to pay for it. And so obviously that didn't work. I had the first baby, and it was the second the narcotic goes into my body when I'm at the hospital, I feel it wake up in me, how do I get out of here? What do I need to say to them to try to get more? They wouldn't give me more. Okay, then get me out of here so I can start drinking, and my daughter is beautiful. She'll be 15 on Tuesday. And, she is this beautiful little baby. And it's like when I wake up in the morning, like my sober head isn't thinking like, let's get drunk and like put this baby in the car, but that's what I do when I drink, nothing ever happened, thank God. But like, I'm no different, like I'm no different than you hear about it on the news. And it's like, how am I any different, So, and then I had my son like right after that, and that's when I finally got sober. Hope I didn't spend too much time drunk, but my son was born, and then it was like I had 2 last 4-day binges that happened twice, and now he's 5 weeks old, and I started drinking on Friday. Now it's Monday, and I'm there, and I know that things are never going to get better. I know that, because like it wasn't even the worst day. Like I'm still with my children's dad today, and I was like, he's got a house, and I'm in a house, and I'm like on maternity leave, and I'm, it wasn't the worst of my drinking, and but I just knew that I was like, it's never going to get better, and now I have these kids, and I knew they were going to take these kids away from me. It was a matter of time, and I had this vision in my mind of like, I love these babies, and like they're gonna wake up one morning and be like in a foster care and be like, where's my mom, and I couldn't bear that. And I got on the floor in my room and I said, God, please help me. Like, God, please help me. And all these times of like telling people I want to stop drinking, I didn't want to stop drinking. I did not want to stop drinking. I want to figure out how to not get in trouble. And people would say like, oh, you're spiritually bankrupt. And I'm like, what are they talking about? Like, it's nothing to do with spiritual. Like, it has nothing to do with that. Like, I'm a good person. And, but I don't know why. I just said, God, please help me. And I called the scariest woman I'd ever met in Alcoholics Anonymous. Her name's Karen, and she's my sponsor to this day. And I had met her at the 7 a.m. meeting at Marina Pacifica. I had my baby, and I was shaking, and I was a newcomer. And, she was sponsoring a girl, and they both came to me like right away, and she followed me to my car and asked me all these questions, and like I could just tell like I couldn't get anything past this woman, and I guess for whatever reason that was my day. I don't know why it was my day, but on the day it was my day, I called someone who was very difficult because I need help, and I need someone that will not let me lie. And all the other ones, I said they were my sponsor, but I didn't call them. I lied to them. Anyway, so she came to my house that day. She brought another woman she was sponsoring. He came home from work. He was not very happy to see, his drunk girlfriend once again. And now there's 2 women from Alcoholics Anonymous in his living room. That's like almost as bad as bringing the cops over. And, she's like, we're taking her to a meeting. And he told her like, she needs to stay here and take care of her kids. And, Karen like went after him. She didn't go after him, but she told him like, if they're your kids, we don't call it babysitting. And he goes, well, yes. She tells the story. She said he was like, well, yes, they're my kids. And so I end up at the Seal Beach speaker meeting. She brings me there, and I was drunk, and the women, they write their phone number down on a little piece of paper, and they give it to you, and so many women handed me their phone number, and I'd gotten so many phone numbers in the past 5 years, and I put them in my purse, and then I throw them away, because why would I ever call some woman I don't know? Like, what am I supposed to say to her, and how is that going to help me with all the problems I have, and seems so stupid, and they dropped me off at home. And I remember coming through the front door, and I remember seeing him sitting there holding that little 5-week-old baby, and that look of disgust on his face, because he didn't want he told me to get rid of the pregnancy, like, I don't want to have a baby with somebody like you, and, and I promised, and, and here we are again, and I sat down next to him, and the alcoholic thinking is like, the alcohol's wearing off. I'm starting to not feel that good. And I'm thinking, why the heck did I call that woman? Like, why did I get crazy? Why did I overreact? Like, why did I create a commotion, upset him in his home? I better fly right. I better do good. I better, just be good for a little while. And I sat down, and that's what I thought. And the thing is, that's what I always thought. And I always end up drunk. And this time I had a second thought come to me. And the thought was, why don't you just try? You've never tried doing anything that they've said to do, Why don't you just try? And the first thing that I was told to do was to call Karen. And in the morning I called her, and then she told me, okay, all those women that gave you their phone numbers last night, like now you're going to call them until somebody answers. And the thought of, it's just horrible, but I did it. And eventually a woman answered the phone, and I don't know who I talked to. I have no idea. I know that she's told me she had 20 years sober. She was loving to me. She knew why I was calling. I thought they'd be like, why is this drunk girl calling? And she knew why I was calling, and she took care of me. And then the thing that happened for me is I hung up the phone, and I felt lighter. I think I felt hope. I felt like lighter and hope. And it was like, oh, what is, it felt different. And for me, it was like, what else do they want me to do? How do I get more of this? And what else do they want? What else do they want? That is the only, that's what's kept me sober to this day is, I get a little relief every time I do these things I don't want to do. And I don't want to do any of these things, they're constantly asking me to do things and I don't want to do them. But I say I will do them, and then I get a little bit of relief. So that's one of my favorite things about this program is that it's a program of action. And it's not a program of like, oh, how am I feeling today? Am I feeling, I tried to tell my sponsor on Monday night that I think I'm depressed. And she was just like, oh. She's like, oh, Katie. And I don't know, I was just trying a different angle, and it didn't work. And it doesn't matter how I feel, it just matters what I do. On December 24th, 2011, I'm a few months sober. I still got these babies, and I'm waiting tables, and he's drinking, to this day, he's home drinking right now. He drinks every night. And that's another miracle of the program is the fact that we've managed to raise our children together and stay together. I think we don't keep track. We're still not married. I think it's been about 18 years. And, that can be very difficult also, but it's also got some really beautiful parts to it, some parts that I didn't ever expect. And I remember at the beginning of my sobriety, a lot of the women were like, oh, you're not going to be able to stay with him. You're going to have to leave him. And I remember my sponsor told me, if he ever gets in the way of your sobriety, then you leave him, And he never got in the way of it. He never got in the way of me going to meetings, other than he wouldn't babysit for me. So then I just found the meetings that babysit. He likes them now that they're teenagers, but when they were babies, he wasn't feeling it. But I found the meetings that had the daycare. I would bring my babies, I brought them, and I would have to drive to places that were inconvenient to get to. And my sponsor always says, you need at least one inconvenient meeting. Those are the most spiritual ones, And I don't know if I believe that. It might have taken me a long number of years to finally get that. But anyway, December 24th, it's Christmas Eve. I'm miserably newly sober. I hate being sober. I'm very miserable. And, I've been waiting tables since I was 16, and these people put me out on the patio on the day shift where it's cold out there, you make no money, and then you got to tip out half your cash, and then do your side work. And so I'm standing there, we're folding silverware, and And my coworkers are like, oh, I love day drinking during the holidays. And, oh, we're having a huge party. My family has their party tonight. And, oh, I still got to wrap gifts, but I'm going to have some wine and wrap gifts. And I'm standing there, thinking to myself, I'm going home to, a drunk man and 2 babies. And I'm sober, It sounds pretty miserable. And I hate it. And I'm having a drink when I get home. I'm tired of trying to do good. I'm over it. I don't like it. And, and so I get home, and sure enough, he's out in the garage, tall can and bong. And, I got to go in and clean up the mess. And I go to the refrigerator. He has his beer in there because it's Christmas. He's off work. And I'm thinking if I, move a couple things this way. And at that point in my drinking, I am scared to drink. I'm scared because I know bad things are going to happen when I pick up a drink. But I'm also miserable. And I don't really want to be on this planet, sober. So I'm thinking if I move this, move that, I'll take one of his tall cans and drink it. And that'll give me the courage I need to put the babies in the stroller, walk over to CVS, buy my alcohol, and then I can hide it strategically around so that I can, when he's in one room, I drink in that room. And then when he goes there, I drink, and the thing I remembered was all those people in the meetings that said, next time call us before you start drinking. And I thought, what are they going to say to me? Oh, honey, you shouldn't be drinking. You got those babies to take care of. I figured that's what they were going to tell me, you shouldn't drink. And so I was like, it's not going to help, but I'll call anyway. And I called him, my sponsor answered the phone, and I just started bawling. She picked up, and then I started bawling. And so I don't know how this thing works, I really don't. And if I listen to my head, I'm screwed. So she told me, you're gonna put the baby in the car seat, the little one. He's still little enough. You can bring him. They got marathon meetings going down at Thursdays, and you can sit there all night long if you need to. They have meetings going for 3 or 4 days during Christmas, nonstop. And for me, what happened was, I call it my marching orders. She gave me my marching orders, and I'm cool with action. I can take action. Give me an action, I got it. I thought we were going to be well, I wonder what's causing this. Do you know, is it because maybe he's ignoring you and you feel sad? It was no, here's what you're going to do. Get your butt in the car and and I tried to fight back because I'm well, he's drunk and the other baby, blah, 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 put her to bed, take the little one. And, it's already you feel okay, I'm into action, and then I remember he was still out in the garage and I go by him real fast. I'm carrying a car seat and he's where are you going? And I'm meeting. And I get down there and the place has got wood paneling on the walls. They decorate it crazy for Christmas. And I walk in and the room was full. There were no seats. And, you come in with a baby and they pull a chair out and now I'm sitting in a meeting. And it was a sharing discussion meeting, and people were just sharing the way we do, oh, used to be I would, destroy everything at Christmas, and now this year, I'm hosting, and and whatever it is about the way we share when we tell each other the truth, and it's I feel myself let out my first breath when I'm sitting in a meeting. It's maybe 10 minutes in, I'm I let out the first breath of the day sometimes, and sometimes I laugh, sometimes I cry, sometimes I get the chills, and but whatever happened to me is whatever is time up? Okay. So what was it? Oh yeah, so sitting in a room with other alcoholics is the medicine. I don't know why or how it works, but it does. And I just knew that I was sitting there and I realized, I think I'm okay. I think I can go home, and I went home. And then when I woke up in the morning, that's when it really hit me. I was I can't believe I'm sober. I can't believe I survived. That was the first time I ever survived one of those, and woke up the next morning sober. And I was like, you know, like I brushed my teeth last night and put my jammies on and like put my, you know, like, and I'm waking up sober and I shouldn't have been. I should have been on a bender. And that's when I realized this thing works and I'll do whatever they tell me to do. And I kind of threw myself in deeper. But it was a slow progression. I've had to, like, I'm not like, oh, I came in and I was perfect, you know, and because I have made a lot of mistakes and, you know, I went about taking the steps like it was life or death. I did. And, you know, I knew that, like, okay, I'm going to do this. Like, I'm going to do this. Now it better work for me. If it doesn't work for me, I'm really in trouble. Like, I don't have any other options. And that's how I went about it, you know. And then, but then I think it was like 2017-ish, 2018-ish, like, you know, I'm kind of hanging out down in Irvine. I got a job down there. I'm in Irvine. I'm not really seeing my sponsor very often. You know, she's at meetings in Long Beach and like, I got to go to the gym after work. I can't make it up there, you know, and I'm like, you know, I'm not telling her the truth about everything, you know, and I'm also telling her, this is too much. Like, it's too much. You guys want too much. You want me to like drive here, drive there, like 3 meetings a week and, you know, other things too. And I've always had a panel at the Salvation Army and I'm like, and I got 2 kids and I'm supposed to make a project. And like, I went to my kid's classroom and I can tell the other parents make all the projects and my kid's project looks like crap because I didn't make it. So I'm a bad parent. You know, I'm not showing up for them. I'm not really doing a good job in AA, like work suffering, you know, like I can't do this anymore. And, but I'm like at the gym every night for like 3.5 hours. Like, don't, you know, I got time for that. And because it's traffic, you got to go there while the traffic's bad. And then, you know, so I'm full of it, really. And thank you. And yeah, so I mean, I kept a secret from my sponsor for 7 years, you know, and it just seemed like I told other people, I just didn't tell her. And like, I didn't like lie, I just didn't bring it up, you know? And what happened is COVID hit, and then like I started doing the Bellflower meetings, and that's the home group my sponsor's always been part of, and I realized, oh man, these meetings are pretty good. And then it went in person, and then I was like, I will never go to Bellflower ever, because sometimes she makes me go there. She would make me go there if I had a Monday off. You know, so I'd had enough experience to know that when you get there, there's 100 people outside smoking cigarettes and you got to walk through this crowd of people. And then there's a greeting line that goes all the way around the room, you know, and like you're like shaking all these hands and like there's so many people, it's way too much, you know, and I never want to go there. I like going to meetings where you can get there right when it starts and you just kind of quietly judge people and, you know, and then as soon as it's over, like run for the car and check. I went to 3 meetings this week. Why am I not spiritual? And because that's what I was trying to tell her. And so I don't remember what I was saying, but yeah, I mean, that's when things did start. I mean, things have slowly progressed. I was just telling Chiquita and Ruth on the way here that I've always called my sponsor. I call her Monday through Friday, right? I have a call time. I call her. I read my morning meditation. I read her my gratitude list, you know, and I do that Monday through Friday. But on the weekends, I need to sleep in, and I don't need her on Saturday and Sunday, you know. And this morning I called her. Today is Saturday, and I called her this morning. I'm like, yes, at 13 years sober, like my sponsor just told me, you're now going to call me every day. And earlier this week, I told her, I'm like, I've been a slow learner. And she's like, yes, but you're on the right track. And so I don't know, this thing takes a while, but yeah, so the back to the lying, I get angry and I feel like rage come on, you know? I mean, I've like taken a keyboard and like the pieces go flying and like there's all kinds of like, you know, and the recent one, it was happening more and more and more, you know? And the recent one was like, every single day you're trying to load the dishwasher, and like the things don't fit in, and they should be doing it, and but I just do it every day, and there I'm like trying to load the dishwasher, and like it's not fitting, so then I start, and then I'm like, excuse me, and like I'm like shaking the crap out of the dishwasher, and the dishes are like, and then I'm like, I grab the recycling and I go outside and I like throw it in the garage, throw it in the driveway, and everything goes, and he's standing there with his tall can watching me, and he's like, what happened to your mom today? And he's like, did something happen to her? And like this has been going on, and then I go shut myself. It was like the second weekend or third weekend in a row, but it's been going on, and then I'm like, I hate my family, and I don't even want to see them. So like I spend most of the weekend after that locked in my room, and I don't want to talk to anybody, especially when AA people want to talk, because I'm like kind of, what am I going to say? I'm locked in my room. I hate my family. And how's your gratitude list? And but I'm like, I'm in trouble, I'm in trouble. And I'm he's always talking about he wants to sell the house and move off into the country and like out in the middle of nowhere and blah, blah, blah. And I know it's a bad idea because I need to be here and I need to be around my program and the women I stay sober with and my kids' school and all, obvious reasons I got to be here. But I start thinking like, yeah, let's go, let's go. And I do share these things with my sponsor, and she says to me, Katie, you don't need to move. Just go buy a bottle. And just walk over to CVS and get a bottle. You don't need to bother moving. And, but I can tell I'm in trouble because that day when I was like, when I threw all this stuff in the driveway, and I remember standing there, like I was like kind of hiding over in the driveway now, and I look up at the sky, and I was like, I don't know where God is, and I'm alone, and there's nobody I want to call. There's nothing I want to do to try to fix this. Like, I'm just alone and I need a drink. And that's when I was like, you better figure that, you better do something, cause I'm going to drink. And so I let my sponsor know that, I'm like, there's something I've been leaving out, she wasn't, she had me write it down, and she set up a time that I was supposed to call and share it with her. And I told her the thing, and she didn't know. And but she's like, but there were things that made me wonder, And then I was like, you still love me? And like, so she's like, I love you more than I ever have, And the thing, and that's why number 5 on my gratitude list every day, she told me this. I was telling Ruth earlier. Number 5 is honesty. I'm thankful for honesty. The feeling of freedom I have. We were talking about it too. Like, we're so used to lying about everything, and we don't even realize we're lying half the time. And then when we do tell the truth, it's like, wow. Like, is this why, like, people are okay in life? Like, because they tell the truth, and it just feels so freeing. Like, so anyway, I don't know if I think I'm pretty much done on time. I guess I'll share that, like I said, I'm still with my kid's dad, and it's because of Alcoholics Anonymous. It's been a struggle. He drinks every day, most every day. And I remember, like, it was maybe a couple years into sobriety, he told me, he's like, I like you better the older you get. And I was like, it's because, and he's saying that not because, like, I'm, like, getting more special the older I am, but, like, because, like, I'm not the same woman I was, and, like, I mean, there's so many examples, I don't know which one to use, but, like, one of my favorites is, we were not getting along all weekend, and a weekend of like, I hate your friends, I hate blah, 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 I hate everything. But I had to be at the Salvation Army Sunday afternoon to read out of the big book with a new girl. And I've been doing that like every Sunday for a while. And when I came home from it, like when I left for that, I didn't even tell him I was leaving, and I was just, and then when I came home, I come walking up the driveway, and he's sitting there, he's like, you better now? And for me, that was huge, because I'm like, this guy who hates, like, he hates Alcoholics Anonymous. He hates, he thinks people that don't drink are really, like, sorry for you. Everyone wishes. During Zoom, he would come in with a tall can and be like, ha, 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 ha. I would turn my camera off, but he's like, look at all those losers. And like, that's why Zoom wasn't good. But he's been there long enough to see that, like, yes, this thing works for me. It works for Kate. She better go there. I will never get in the way. And I know when she comes home from you guys, she's going to be okay, So that's all I got. Thank you guys very much.